Welcome, everyone, into ProBox TV's Deep Waters. We take a deep dive into all things boxing. The big news right now, the huge fall of Devin Haney. That's right. The bid for his mandatory fight against Sandor Martin drew just one bid, $2.42 million from Top Rank. I didn't say highest bid. I said only bid. So obviously the winning bid by default. It surprised even Top Rank itself. Bob Arum shocked that the bid actually worked, but it indicates the fall from Devin Haney after his loss to Ryan Garcia. I am joined, of course, remotely by Chris Algieri. Chris, not only the fall from grace, we're going to get to that in a minute. Do you think he even signs Devin Haney? He made $15 million in his last two fights, and now it looks like 1.6 would be his share of this bid. Do you think he even signs for it? A lot of issues here.
Yeah, I mean, if he has grown accustomed to making the $6, $7, $8, $10+ million signings, yeah, it's going to be hard for him to take that step back. But guess what? You know, like, yeah, you lost your last fight. Like, sure, the guy was obviously enhanced, and that fight might get overturned. So I see where he's coming from in terms of saying, like, hey, listen, man, this is what kind of fighter I am. I beat someone who cheated, or someone beat me who cheated, so that's going to get expunged. So I deserve the same kind of money. I don't know, man. I'm not super mad at him being upset about this. It makes a lot of sense. It's a raw deal, but also, guess what? This is boxing, man. This is what happens. And a lot of what happens in your career and your earning potential is affected by what people are saying, and perception is reality. So I think a lot of people are going to, say what they're going to say about Devin Haney and how his last fight went. That being said, also, Sandor Martin's a really tough return fight after a Ryan Garcia loss, where he took a tremendous amount of damage against a much bigger guy, a guy who didn't make weight, a guy who can really punch, and a guy who potentially, certainly seems was enhanced. So I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's like, hey, man, this is boxing. Like, you got to take a step back sometimes and take a smaller purse, because you've made tons of money, and you're going to make tons of money again if you win this fight. But you've got to win this fight. Problem is, Sandor Martin is a banana peel. He is the proverbial banana peel. He's a very, very tough guy to beat. He has a really tough style, really hard to look good against. Whether you're going to win or lose, you're going to have a tough time looking good against him. So I understand where they are coming from as a team in terms of making this fight happen. Sandor Martin, I'm sure, is licking his lips about this potential matchup. He's been the guy who upsets the apple cart. He retired Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is a fantastic fighter, phenomenal boxer, someone that had a stellar career, and Sandor Martin was able to beat him. Then he goes out there and he fights Teofimo Lopez. And Teofimo Lopez, we've talked about him on our show many times. We've had him on our show. Phenomenal superstar status type guy. Sandor Martin, for a lot of people, beat him that night. He dropped him with a counter right hook. Very slippery the whole night long. Fought a very, very smart tactical fight. Was the most entertaining fight. That's not how Sandor fights. Sandor fights to win. Sandor fights to win boxing matches. So, yeah, it's a very tough out for Team Haney off of a really bad loss against Ryan Garcia, where he got dropped multiple times, was obviously concussed, obviously got hurt in the fight. And now to come back against a guy like that, it's a very, very tough out. So fighting that kind of guy with that kind of danger for, $1.5 million when you're used to making 15, used to making 10 times that amount. Yeah, I understand where they're coming from. But I always speak from a fighter's position where I want to fight. So it's tough to just sit out. I don't think it's a good idea for a lot of young fighters to do that. But there's a lot to really untackle about this particular situation, especially from Team Haney, who up until the Ryan Garcia fight was extremely, extremely smart and tactical with every move that they made business-wise. So I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out. But hey, this is why we're here. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, Devin Haney, of course, going to social media to kind of plead his case about how he feels about it. And the interesting takeaway here is, I'm going to take some time spend some of my money, travel the world, and I'll be back in 2 years after Ryan's suspension, and we can fight again. Now, I don't know how seriously to take that threat of taking some time off, but Champ, you were just talking about when you made 15 million in the last 2 fights, and it wasn't bad before that. We're just talking about the last 2. He can afford to take some time off and kind of wait out, I guess, this bad press. I know you're a fighter. You just said you like guys staying active, but what's your thought on him taking some time off to kind of let people forget about the Ryan Garcia fight? What's your thought about it?
No active fighter can afford to take time off. But if he's a damaged fighter, then yes, he can afford to take time off. If he is feeling residual impact from that fight, which was very concussive in terms of how much damage he took, he went 12 rounds. He was a warrior. And I will always tip my hat to Devin Haney in that fight because he was completely outgunned against a much bigger man, and he got hurt multiple times throughout that fight. I've been that guy. I've been the guy who got hurt during fights and fought on. It takes a lot out of you, and having that ability to say, you know what, let me rest a little bit. Let me recover. Let me let my brain rest. I can understand that. If that's the reason for why they're coming with this, veiled being that, it's a low number, this is not right for my career. Listen, that makes sense to me. But if it's just based on money, which I don't really think it is, then that's one thing. It's tough, man, because I've been there too, where it's like, well, you take a low purse your next fight. Now you're in that lower rung purse. But listen, it's always about what you've done recently. Boxing is really, really tough, man. Very short memories in this sport. It's all about what you did in your last fight. It's all about the most recent memory that people have about you. So if he goes out there and he outboxes and thoroughly beats up Sandor Martin, or he stops him, which has never been done. If you think about outboxing, which has never been done, it makes a statement, for real boxing people. But for the hardcore, the non-hardcore fans, the casual fans, which is who a lot of these up-and-coming fighters, the Ryan Garcias, the Devin Haneys, are trying to approach, it's a tough out because you beat a Sandor Martin, you're supposed to beat a Sandor Martin based on people who don't follow the sport. So I understand that whole aspect of it. Very, very tough out. But this, again, I'm going back to me being a fighter. You fight the guys that are put in front of you. I've never turned anybody down, never turned anybody down. So I think that a lot of true boxing heads are going to look at that and be like, oh, he doesn't want to fight. But I think there's a lot going into this this decision, whether it happens or it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, this is this is boxing, man. There's a lot that goes into not only the fighter themselves, but also the teams around them.
Well, speaking of the fighter himself, is Devin Haney damaged goods? And he has tied his future to the penalty on Ryan Garcia. Do oil and water mix? We'll discuss it when we come back. The DC champ comes home. That's right, Lamont Roach Jr. defending his title at home against the undefeated Irishman, Fergal McCrory. McCrory, great body puncher, very, very aggressive, but Lamont Roach Jr. has boxing skills and looking for a knockout to please his fans. Don't miss it, June 28th here on ProBox TV. But another star, another champion, Devin Haney, got a low bid for his fight, his mandatory against Sandor Martin. Apparently only one bid from Top Rank, too low, $2.42 million. Now, the other side of it, he said on social media, Chris, is I'm not fighting until Ryan Garcia is punished for his PED use. But promoters don't do that, right? The idea that I won't come back till he's punished, that's a commission thing. Is he asking justice, essentially, of the wrong people?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Jimmy. I mean, yeah, I don't think he should worry about that at all. I think he should move on with his career. And he's a super talented guy, and he's at the highest level and in a very, very tough weight class. And there's a lot of really good fights for him. I don't think he should hinge anything of what he does moving forward based on Ryan Garcia. If he really believes that Ryan was cheating during the fight and the fight is going to be overturned to no contest, then boom, that's in the rear view. There's no reason for him to think anything about what's going on with Ryan Garcia. That just shows me that Ryan is in his head rent-free. He's still thinking about Ryan, and that's a problem. I don't think he should do that. I think it should move on. Ryan's never going to fight at 140 again. If they ever were to fight again, it'd be 147 or above. So I don't think that should be something that's in Devin Haney's head. he has a lot of really, really great matchups available to him, fights that he can win against top guys at the 140-pound division in his weight class. Ryan's not in his weight class. People keep bringing up Ryan, fighting Tank Davis, Devin Haney, all these different fighters. He's not in that weight class anymore. He's not going to fight at 140 ever again. He didn't fight at 140 when he fought Devin Haney. He came in 3 pounds over. He cut the weight, couldn't make it, decided not to make it, didn't make the weight. He's not a 140-pounder. He will never fight at 140 ever again. So all of these people talking about him fighting Devin Haney or Tank Davis, they're out of their mind. It's not going to happen. He's going to fight at 147 or above from now on. So thinking about Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney makes zero sense.
When you look at the state of boxing, one of the criticisms people always have is everybody, I call it the money Mayweather model. You protect your O, that's where all the value is. People who say, hey man, fight, win or lose, you can come back, will point to this and say, look how damaged Devin Haney got from one loss, one fight. And once again, against a bigger guy, didn't make weight, PEDs involved, all these things, but a loss is a loss. And the fact that he was so devalued after one loss, will that scare a lot of boxers? What's your thought on it?
Hopefully it scares his opponents so they want to take the fight. Guys, listen, we all get beat up. It happens. Guys get knocked out. Guys get hurt. I literally was just talking to our compadre, Teofimo Lopez, about this. I sent him a video of Ike Williams KOing Bew Jack. I mean, vicious KO. Bew Jack for like 10 more years. He fought Ike Williams 3 more times. They went the distance twice. Guys get over getting knocked out. It happens. We get knocked out. It happens. You're a fighter. You go out there, you get beat up, get hurt, things happen. Yeah, it takes a little bit out of you. Guess what? We still keep fighting. All of our contributors on this air have been in very, very, very tough fights that have damaged them in their career. Guess what? They had really good fights after that. They won world titles after that. They became Hall of Famers after that. It happens. Guys, we fight. So I would say swimmers get wet. Gunslingers get shot. It happens. Fighters fight. You just move on from it. You keep moving. You keep winning. You keep doing what you do. You get better from that. You learn from your losses. You learn from every fight that you ever have. I think Devin Haney's in that situation. He's 25 years old, 26, 25, 26, whatever it is. He can absolutely recover from this fight. Is he damaged goods? No. He's only damaged goods if he wants to be damaged goods. Because at this point, at this age where he's at, the damage is here. Not in his brain. It's in his mentality. It's in his emotional state. If he can get over that, he will be a multiple-time world champion once again, probably in a bunch of different weight classes. And we might even see him and Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia once again in a higher weight class. So I want to put that out of everyone's mind, him being damaged goods. He's only damaged goods if he wishes to be damaged goods. If he wants to be the guy that he's always supposed to be, he can still be that.
When you look at him in his career, Devin Haney, you and I have talked off camera many, many times about the boxers who could just easily bounce back. When it came to Arturo Gatti, you talk about the money he drew after losing. It was absolutely unbelievable. He got outclassed in certain fights. Not just beat up, not just bigger guys. He got outclassed in fights, came back, made money again. What is it that makes certain boxers loss-proof in that regard? What is it, and does Devin Haney have it? Is he so technical that without the winning, he doesn't have the entertainment value to get a big bid? What's your thought on that?
Jimmy, you're talking to one. I've been outclassed in fights, my highest level fights. I fought Manny Pacquiao. I wasn't ready for that guy. I wasn't ready for him at that time. I still came back and had great fights after that. I still was world class for a very long time, fought really tough fighters and beat some of those really top guys. So yeah, it's all on what you do with it. And if you have an old school mentality, yeah, a loss is a loss. We live in an era where O's matter because of Floyd Mayweather. I think we're getting out of that. The top fighters in the world today all have losses. Ryan Garcia has a loss. Devin Haney now has a quote-unquote loss, which might be expunged. Doesn't matter. He still got beat up in a fight that we all saw. So he still has that up here. And I'm not talking about his brain. I'm talking about his mentality. I'm talking about his emotions. I'm talking about his psychology. So listen, having a loss is not the worst thing in the world. It's what you do with it. If you can put that in your backside and learn to win after that. Look, Juan Marquez, another one of our great contributors on ProBox TV, has had a ton of losses in his career and has always come back and performed better and better and better. Teofimo Lopez has losses. Tim Bradley has losses. We all have losses. Nobody on our air is undefeated. We're all great fighters. We've all learned to win after losing. And that's part of being a world-class boxer.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's about the perils of free agency. What can others learn from Devin Haney right after this? Chris Algieri just said it. You have to learn from your losses. That's what Lamont Roach Jr. did. Only one in his career, taking on the undefeated Fergal McCoy, looking to avoid his first defeat. June 28th, Washington, D.C., here on ProBox TV. Get your tickets now. It's going to be an incredible fight. So, Chris, when we talk about this whole deal with Devin Haney, where he gets one bid, it is low. It is the only bid, of course, $2.42 million from Top Rank. Does it show the dangers in free agency? No multi-fight contracts. You are a free agent. You're bidding every single time, receiving bids every time. Did it show the dangers of that business strategy for Haney?
Hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose in terms of these situations. Devin has won a lot in his career at the negotiating table. He's made a tremendous amount, multiple times over and over and over, more than a lot of people would think that he was probably worthy of at that time. But it's turned out that he has been proven to be that level of fighter. So it makes sense in hindsight. But he takes a step back. Listen, guys, I remember when I lost to Manny Pacquiao, he came back and I fought Amir Khan immediately on a main event fight. And I was told, like, oh, you gotta take a pay cut. I was like, all right, I understand that, but I'm gonna beat this guy and then I'm gonna get right back to it. Didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, but regardless, that was the mindset that I had. I was like, yeah, I got it. I was let down, or I let everyone down at a moment, and now I got to fight back. This is boxing, man. It's an uphill battle always. You cannot get accustomed to being on top of the hill. That's not how this works. When you're a champion, you're at the top of the game, you have to perform each and every time out. Everyone has a very short memory in this sport. You have to perform each and every time. People only remember you for your last fight. Unfortunately, Devin Haney's last fight, he lost. Whether it was a no contest or not, he lost. We all watched him lose. So he's taking a pay cut. If he doesn't want to play that game, apparently he doesn't have to. He can sit out for 2 years, like he said, if he wants to. I don't think that's going to help him in his young career. But again, that's up to him and his team what he wants to do. Yeah, is the money low? Yeah. Is it that low? A lot of people are going to hear 1.5 million. Like, that's not that low. That's pretty decent. A lot of fighters would beg for $1.5 million paydays. Obviously, he's been making 10 times that. So I understand where he's coming from. But at the same time, man, sometimes you got to take a step back and get that win and get back up to those levels. And it might be that kind of situation here, or you can just wait it out and just wait for another big payday. So that's entirely up to him and his team, whether they think that's the right move or not.
Chris, I have a question for you. You were a kickboxer before you were a boxer, and I've been covering combat sports for 25 years. And one of the things I've seen over and over is when someone loses and it isn't clean, right? They thought they won. They thought it was a bad judge's decision. There were PEDs involved, some kind of bad referee call. They can get mentally stuck in that loss in a way they wouldn't if they had lost clean. If they fought a better guy and you lose, and that's the way it is, they move on a little bit easier. I've seen guys get mentally stuck in a bad loss that they feel they didn't deserve. Is that what we're seeing here, and have you seen that before?
Yeah, I certainly have. I mean, I'm going to talk from my own career. So I lost to Manny Pacquiao badly, and I immediately took the Amir Khan fight, which was a very, very tough fight, especially a return fight after coming off your first loss. And, I said, you know what? I don't care about Pacquiao beat me. It was an off night for me. I'm better than that. I'm going to come back and I'm going to win this fight. And then I end up dropping the Amir Khan, which I thought I won, and a lot of people that night thought I did. And I remember afterwards, I got grabbed by one of the media people, and they were like, "Man, you fought a great fight." And I looked at him, and I was like, "Yeah, but I lost." And he goes, "Yeah, but you outperformed whatever they thought." And I go, "Yeah, but that fight just cost me 7 figures. That decision just cost me 7 figures in my next fight." And the light bulb that went off in his head, and seeing his face, was so eye-opening for me, because that was how I felt. I was like, I know I won that fight, and I didn't get it, but you don't understand how much money that just lost me. You don't understand how much opportunity that just lost me. So I took that and said, listen, I got to make that money again. I got to get back. I don't think I lost this fight. I don't care who thinks I won the fight or not, but I want to get back to that situation where I can make that kind of money, because I saw what I lost in terms of earning potential. Listen, we're prize fighters, guys. We fight for money. I don't care what anybody says. Floyd Mayweather said it, before. If you don't care about making money, then you're stupid, because that's what we do. We put our lives on the line, and we're paying for our future. We're paying for our generational money. We're paying for our kids' money, multiple generations down the line. That's what we do. We give our blood, sweat, tears, our brain cells for this. So you got to look past all of that and make sure that you understand that, listen, I can come back and I can do this again. I can get back to those numbers. And that's the mindset you have to have. Not so much like, I lost, or I didn't get the decision, or, yeah, was I sad? Sure. Will Devin be sad? Absolutely. Has he been sad? 100%. But guess what? How do you get over being sad? You go back and you whoop some ass. That's what boxing's all about.
I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's about the 140-pound division, a marquee weight class, but it has taken some hits recently. Chris and I discuss it when we come back. Welcome back into Deep Waters. You see the super lightweight champions Liam Paro after a big upset of a Super L Matias, Isaac Cruz, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez, who was fighting journeyman later this week, right? To little fanfare considering how his career was going. Chris, it's one of those things where we're talking about 140. Chock full of talent, but a lot of weird stuff going on in the last few months. What's your thought on the 140-pound division and where Devin Haney sits in it? Who would you put him as a favorite in any of those fights?
Guys, welcome to boxing, man. Things change very, very quickly. I've been saying this whole show, it's done lately. And lately, the guys that we thought were the quote-unquote boogeymen of the division have not been performing. We're looking at a graphic right now of Matias getting outclassed, schooled by Liam Paro. And I said it on our last show prior to the fight. I said I've never seen Matias fight a guy at a world-class level. I think Liam Paro is world-class. I don't think he's elite. He's not elite. I've never seen Matias fight an elite guy. So his first step up against a world-class guy, against Liam Paro, he falls apart. He gave nothing. Loses the fight. Liam Paro put on a great performance. Tip my hat to him. Excellent, excellent performance against a really, really tough guy. Not knocking Matias as not being tough. Very, very tough guy. Very, very tough out. Liam Paro boxed beautifully. And stylistically, Liam Paro is trouble for everyone in the division. The division face has changed. We got Isaac Cruz, who's a 35-pounder who came up and blew out Rolly Romero, who never should have been world champion at that weight class or probably anywhere. So we've got a very strange weight class lately. And you've got a lot of opportunities for these guys who probably should have never been or never would have been a world champion in these weight classes. Isaac Cruz being one of them, Rolly Romero being another. But it makes it interesting because Isaac Cruz, very exciting fighter. Big fan of his. I love the way he fights. A great performance against Rolly. You got Liam Paro, put on a great performance against Matias. He has now announced himself to the world. I can fight. I have these skills. I am from Australia, but guess what? I'm good enough. And so, he's another player in the division. Devin Haney, who's coming back, I mean, these are not bad matchups for him. As long as he is feeling good up here, I don't mean brain-wise, I mean emotional-wise, these are a lot of winnable fights for him. He has the ability to unify this division. Teofimo Lopez, who I've always said is the king of this division, certainly still is. Even though he's had some subpar performances, guess what? Just like he said in his interview, the guy always wins. So we got to see what he's going to do against Claggett coming up next week. But I think that's the guy in the division that everybody needs to be worried about. And for Devin Haney, he needs to get back in the win column. He needs to take on some whatever kind of fight he can get, whether it's Sandor Martin or he can try to unify once again with one of these other guys. But I think there's a lot of good opportunities for Devin Haney to get back in the win column, unify some of these titles, potentially sweeping this whole division. He has that opportunity. Problem is, got Teofimo Lopez at the top. And that's a tough out for anyone.
Well, it's certainly an exciting division. We don't know what's going to happen with it, but as the news comes out, we'll deal with it here on Deep Waters. Chris, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.